Now, we're live from the Untold Radio Network. It's Untold Radio AM with Monster Quest producer, host Doug Hajicek, and co-host Jeff Perrella Jr. Untold Radio AM is going live right now.
Hello? Where'd Doug go?
I'm right here. Now, what did you do?
I didn't do anything. Why? Here we go.
Yeah. Was that Jeff's mistake or mine?
I don't know. Moving on. I really don't know. It was fine a minute ago.
Anyhow.
Here we are. And you sound better. You feeling better? Good.
Well, by the way, hello, everyone. My name is Doug Hajicek. I'm very sick today.
Yeah.
I'm drugged up with, Sudafed, Tylenol, cold and flu, and Sambucol.
Nice.
Yeah, which is like an
It's all a lot better. That's good. Hope you're feeling better.
I feel sort of okay for now.
Good.
But that Sudafed makes you feel like you're crawling out of your skin. It does. Anyhow, tonight we have Karl Sup.
Yep. Awesome guest. We had him on in January, so this is kind of a follow-up.
Yeah.
He's a great guest. Looking forward to it.
Part 2.
Yep.
Let's see here. And I will just mention who Karl is. Some people might know, some might know. But he's really an amazing researcher from the Southwest, Arizona mainly.
Mm-hmm.
And this will be part 2 of our last discussion. We're not going to repeat anything, I don't think. I hope not.
I try not to, yeah. I think
we'll try to cover all new stuff because we didn't get through everything.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
So, and then tonight we have a new section, brand new.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
That looks fun, right? You got to see
absolutely.
it. My notes.
I did. Everyone's going to like it. Especially those of us of a certain age, I think will especially like it.
A certain age, yeah.
Yeah.
Old. And then me and Jeff took a 9-hour secret road trip on Saturday.
Yeah. Was it Saturday? Yeah, I think it was more like 10 hours. It was I think it was 10. It was a long day. 10
hours of chatting.
Yeah.
Basically brain diarrhea coming out of both of us for 10 hours.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And a pretty good song list. We had some good songs.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Me and Jeff like the same kind of music.
Yeah. We had Doug's playlist, and it was pretty darn good.
Oh, boy, I can tell you. You know who's got a really bad playlist? Eric.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. It's like grunge music. Like, no. I was saying, that's not music.
Oh, Eric.
Anyhow, we love Eric. Let's see. Let's just get right to it. Let's get into some light, weird, science-y news.
Some news. Here we go.
Untold radio news that can be a bit weird is right now.
Okay, have you all heard of narwhals? Are you familiar with the narwhal, Jeff?
Yeah. I remember reading about it. This is a very vivid memory for some reason. I remember reading about it in Ranger Rick magazine. Who else is old enough to remember Ranger Rick? It was the kids' version of, wasn't it National Geographic, I think, did it? I can't remember.
It was a yes or no question.
Yes. Anyways, yes. I remember reading an article about it. I remember thinking, this can't be real. This animal cannot possibly be a real animal.
Well, it's the unicorn of the sea.
It is.
And only the males, by the way, have that horn, not the females.
That horn?
Okay. But the reason it's in the news is using drones. They've been decoding what in the world they do with that damn, what do you call it, a horn?
Tusk, I think. I think it's more like a tusk.
What do they do with the tusk?
I believe it's a tooth.
Do they use it for defense, hunting? Do they use it to catch fish? Blah, blah, blah. And they pretty much kind of found out all of the above.
Yeah.
And they filmed like hours of them just like tapping fish just to screw with them. Not to eat them, just to kind of mess with them.
Yeah.
So these narwhals live often deep, really deep. They're a relative of the beluga whale, but they live very deep. They go all the way down to 5,905 feet. That's insane.
Yeah, that's incredible. They can go that
1,000
deep.
feet is deep. And they actually spend a lot of their lives at 2,600 feet.
And they're, if memory serves, they're exclusively Arctic, correct? I believe so. They're in,
Yes,
not only is it deep water, it's really cold water.
very cold. Yeah, could you imagine? But anyhow, it says here that the apparently it was the Grego Corey Crow, a research professor at Harvard branch, Oceanographic Institute in Florida, apparently said in a statement that we now know what narwhal tusks are being used for. And that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I read the article, and there was nothing in there that surprised me. Everything seemed like the same thing you or I would do if we had an 8-9 foot stick.
If only.
If we were in the ocean, you had a stick.
Yeah,
You would do and it was sharp. You would do exactly what they do.
probably.
So I'm like, it's a 10-foot sharp weapon. What would Jeff do? I know exactly what Jeff would do. I mean, you'd ward off sharks or something, right? If something was going to attack you,
Yeah.
you would probably use it to hunt a little bit, and you would go around when you were, on more of a playful. You'd start digging around. You'd dink around with it.
And maybe try to impress the ladies.
Yes, you could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But so there was nothing in the article, but I still thought it was interesting. And there is a video.
Yep.
And that can better tell about these narwhals and what they're doing with their little tusk better than I can. Go ahead and play it.
Got it.
Here we go. I mean, what a perfect use for drones.
Yeah, no kidding. That's amazing.
But I want you to picture, Jeff, you breathe air and you dive down to 5,900 feet.
It's amazing.
Could you imagine the
And they're down for like an hour. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh, yeah, that's insane to me. I mean, it's not the most world's exciting video. They're circling its horn. I don't know what they're... Can you see what the circling's about?
Nope. I actually didn't preview this video. I just made sure it worked, and I didn't really look at it.
Apparently, they'll ward off seagulls with it too. That start attacking their fish that they're feeding on. Okay, enough of that. And then NASA released a sonic boom picture. It's a newly released image from NASA. It shows the sound barrier being broken on February 10th of a passenger plane, or the new passenger plane.
I was following it, but I haven't seen anything about it for a while. It's pretty cool. Another supersonic passenger plane. It's really neat.
And this kind of photography is called Shirleyan photography. It photographs the shockwaves around the boom supersonic demonstrator.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And then a picture of the exact same color. This is really weird. Oh my God, such a coincidence. Hit photo 3.
The exact same palette.
It's the same exact color. But they're going, the sun's activity can trigger earthquakes. Okay, let's think. I mean, wouldn't that be the most obvious thing, that the crust is heating and cooling and doing different things? But they've confirmed now that the sun's solar activity is triggering earthquakes.
Wow. I hadn't heard that. That's pretty amazing. This stuff's got a big effect.
Yeah. It says here, let me read this. On a very dynamic planet like Earth, it can easily, changes can easily go unnoticed, but scientists have now established and investigated an unexpected link between the sun and our home world, sunspots. Our home world, period. Sunspots, and therefore solar activity, cause seismic activity on Earth, according to a team led by computer scientists It's Matthau Henrik. Oh my God, he's got like 2 or 3 other names too.
That's I'm sorry, we got to pause for a second here. Apparently, we got no video showing.
What?
People in the comments, and I'm getting texts here that we're not showing videos. Is anybody in the chat seeing video? I don't know what's going on here.
I see video.
So do I.
So I think we're okay.
Well, everyone in the chat is saying no video.
No images.
No images are all. I have no idea why.
Does no images mean no video or no?
No video.
I don't know.
All right.
Really?
So Kim says she can see on her TV. And then, there we go. Now I see it. Okay. So is it working now? Looks like the comments are saying that, yes, they can see now. Okay.
I see the sun now.
Yeah. Okay. I have no idea what happened there.
I have no idea.
Working.
It probably was a solar flare.
Could have been. Absolutely. You know what? I'm sure that's what it was. It was a solar flare.
Exactly what happened. So apparently the sun fluctuating, it changes the crust of the earth, but such fluctuations can make rocks more brittle and prone to fracturing, for example, changes in rainfall, snow melt. Oh, I thought that was climate change.
Yeah.
Caused by your exhaust. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's actually, there's a pretty high correlation of with sunspot activity, solar activity, and temperatures.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it too deep, but
I mean, why wouldn't it? That's where we get all of our heat. If the sun gets more active, you would think solar energy would affect our temperature.
Yeah.
So there you go. Anyhow, it says our planet has a squishy interior covered by a crust that is divided into discrete sections. And an active weather system, there are lots of potential triggers for monumental shifts in the planet's crust that could result in an earthquake. So there you go. So when they say that we've got a solar maximus or minimum, it may affect how much the ground shakes.
Well, and once again, climate scientists think they know it all, find new stuff all the time that shows that we don't know it all.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyhow, and then apparently there was a lunar lander that landed successfully, didn't tip over. The Blue Ghost lunar lander, and this is a photo. No, I'm missing again.
No, you're missing. What is going on here?
Something's really weird going on. Maybe you need to reboot. There we go.
I don't know what's going on here. The screen layout keeps messing with the screen layout. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Anyways, yes, that's our picture of the moon.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
And apparently there's another lunar lander that's going to join up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly what they're going to do. Whatever they tell us they're going to do, I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
It's probably
the footage, the Firefly Airspace, they put out a lot of footage. You actually could have watched this live.
Yeah,
you streamed it live. It was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Just when it was orbiting, the watching the video of it orbiting was really
well. It's
cool.
easy to do when you build a little moon model and you have your little iPhone for the camera.
Yeah, some believe that. I'm pretty confident it's actually on the moon.
I'm just joking, but
yeah,
but all this stuff looks fake when you see it. That picture looks fake as heck.
Yeah, it does. It does look kind of weird, but it
looks like that's a spotlight. It's like one of my movie lights here.
Yeah.
So I don't know, whatever. But it is interesting, and there's going to be more and more moon activity coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that one? I think it was the Chinese. Was it the Chinese lander that toppled over?
I can't remember. I think it wasn't it another civilian one that tipped over? I can't remember. It landed, but then didn't really work.
The Adusa lander failed when it toppled over during its attempt last year.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere on the moon, there's a tipped over spacecraft.
How embarrassing.
Yeah. And then there was a loud boom that apparently shook houses in rural Minnesota. Was that yesterday, I believe? It was on Bring Me the News. And apparently a whole Minnesota community heard this big kaboom. And of course, authorities denied it.
Of course.
Of course.
Didn't really happen.
Yeah, they deny pretty much anything that's not a jet in the sky. Even meteors they deny usually, which is weird. Even when you can see this, like the ground light up from the meteor passing over.
Right.
They still deny it.
Yep.
In most cases. I don't know why. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't trust the government. Should I say that out loud? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't trust the government at all.
I don't either. All right, let's go ahead and do our new little fun section, which is called "What Could Go Wrong."
And with a new bumper, no less. Here we go.
What the heck could go wrong?
Please evacuate immediately.
Fun.
Alrighty. Let's get into what could go wrong with we're going to talk about toys, dangerous toys.
Yep.
Everybody knows about the obvious ones, right? The jarts but we're going to get into some that people probably haven't thought about or didn't know about.
Yeah.
So I'll throw the first one up. Photo 5.
Photo 5. This looks like fun.
Yeah, the Johnny Reb Civil War cannon that actually worked.
I want one.
I wanted one too. I remember when they came out.
A little before my time, but that's something I definitely would have wanted.
I couldn't get one.
No. That's amazing.
I'm glad there's a cough button here because I got a cough. Oh, I hate colds. Oh.
Yeah. You seem to get them a lot too. It stinks.
Hey. What do you mean? The last cold I had was like 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
All right.
A lot. Poor Yvette had this thing for, almost 2 weeks. And I kept fighting it. I'd get it and it would kind of go away. And then it would a little bit. But when you got it.
Mm-hmm.
That was last night. And I'm like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
All right.
It looks like a fun toy, though. I want one.
Photo 6.
Okay, hold on 1 second here. I had
This
it and I
is
lost it.
going to be the Austin Magic Pistol. Now, what this was, you got a few of these oval balls, and you get this canister, and it came with a little bit of calcium carbide. Then you would put a little piece of calcium carbide, you'd unscrew the back, put the calcium carbide in, mix some water in there, put a few drops of water, close it off, then it would start building pressure. You throw a ball in, then you pull the trigger and fire, smoke, and everything else came out
What could go wrong?
I mean, what could go wrong with that?
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Kid, a gun that blasts fire.
I want one.
Yeah.
I would have wanted one of them too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find all this stuff on eBay.
Fun.
But don't give it to your children.
Probably a good idea.
Not a good idea. And that was, hold on here, I lost there we go.
That was photo 6.
Yeah, anyhow, apparently that came out in the 50s.
Yeah.
Pulled the trigger, poof, fire, smoke, and gas were released. And the ping pong balls would shoot out at very high speed. What could go wrong? All right, the next one. I think some people are familiar with this, but this is such a good picture.
This is kind of famous, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the Atomic Energy Lab.
Yeah.
And this came out in the 40s and the 50s, and it was made by Gilbert. Gilbert made a lot of stuff, including slot cars.
Yeah. Yeah, they were kind of a gutsy company. This particular thing is pretty collectible, although I think they've all had the uranium removed from it.
I'll let you collect one.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you could perform
it's not that dangerous.
Yeah, you could perform 150 experiments with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cloud chamber is the neatest one. You can actually go on YouTube and see somebody using this thing to set up a little miniature cloud chamber with it's got a little sample of uranium. It's pretty neat.
What does the cloud chamber do, Jeff?
It just kind of shows how do you describe it? It kind of shows the pattern of how the radioactive radioactive waves work. It's kind of neat. This thing's been kind of demonized, but that little tiny amount of uranium isn't really that dangerous unless I suppose if you ate it, that'd be bad, but it's not.
Well, apparently the experts say it probably wasn't all that dangerous.
Yeah, but it sounds scary.
All right, next. Now this one's really, really weird for a kid's toy. Photo 8. This is called the Magic Race. And what you get, go put the next picture up. That's what's inside the box. Photo 9. Okay, so you get a box of these tissue papers. It's like a parchment. Mm-hmm. And apparently you take a cigarette, you hold it on the star.
Every kid has a lit cigarette handy.
A lit cigarette, mm-hmm. And then it starts burning. And it burns and follows these lanes. I would imagine they had something more flammable in the paper.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And whatever lane would finish burning to the end, the quickest would be your winning horse.
I think you're pretty clever, but weird.
Oh, I know, but could you imagine giving this to your kid?
With a pack of cigarettes and some matches?
In a back room? And don't smoke that, Jimmy. That's just to play your magic race. Oh, my God. But it's true. We did a lot of flammable things when I was a kid. After like 5 years old, oh, my God, the world was your oyster.
Yeah, firecrackers and M80s and all kinds of fun explosive stuff.
Easy. I mean, we'd bring fireworks in the house.
Yeah. Pretty amazing that we all survived. I did a lot of pretty dangerous stuff.
Well, yeah. But what could go wrong with the magic?
What could go wrong, as the bumper says? All
right. The next one really amazes me. Photo 10. Super amazed by it.
1 second here.
This is a battery operated old timer taxi, which looks like a frickin' hearse. Okay, but here's where it's unique. I'll go ahead and throw up the next photo. Okay, so this thing smokes. So you put oil in the radiator and it smokes. It heats up. It's got a heating element. So the car drives and then smoke comes out of the radiator.
Sounds
and
safe.
It's a tin toy, which means every surface is razor sharp.
And it's going to get hot.
And it's going to get hot. And if you left it on, it would just burn the house down, maybe.
Yikes.
It's just, I don't know. I shake my head. I mean, tin toys are razor sharp.
Yeah.
More than once. I remember I had a tin locomotive when I was a kid. More than once, I would look up. Probably the first time I ever saw myself bleeding would be like pushing it around on the floor. And I looked, my whole palm was all bloody.
Oh, no.
Cuts from the tin toy.
From a toy for kids. That's terrible.
Things have changed, haven't they?
Yeah.
All right. Then photo 12, I did have this. And yes.
You had one of these?
Oh, God, yes. It gets up to 250 degrees. Probably more like 300. And you'd pour liquid vinyl into these molds. And then they would cook. But there was a couple of times I left the burner on in the basement.
Right.
So they would leave. And I'm sure I was seconds away from that thing flaming up. But what could go wrong, right? Something that plugs in and gets really hot, and you give it to a little kid.
My older cousins had one of those, and that thing got crazy hot. That's amazing that thing's really dangerous.
Yeah.
But it was cool as heck.
Oh, yeah. Very cool. Fun. We used it a lot, actually. I mean, I had minor burns numerous times from it.
Yeah.
But
part of growing up. That's how you learn lessons. Seems like everybody learned a lesson that way.
Photo 13. Now, I couldn't have survived without these. I'm sure this will look familiar.
Yep. 1 second here. Oh yeah, I love
No,
these.
Eric, those are not the edible ones. Those were called the Incredible Edibles.
Oh, that was a toy too. That doesn't
Yeah.
sound. Oh,
But you remember roll caps?
oh yeah, heck yeah! I loved cap
I
guns.
couldn't have survived without those.
Yeah, oh man, they were so fun.
Piles of them. Cap guns, and then of course it was fun taking a magnifying glass to them or a big hammer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hammer, jumping on them, throwing rocks on them.
Yeah.
Tried everything you could to make them go off without using a cap gun.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
More than once I filled our house up with smoke, from just shooting a bunch of cap guns off.
Boy, I can just imagine the smell the smell was so vivid too.
Distinct.
Yeah, that stink.
Can
of
you
that
still
gunpowder.
buy caps? You probably can.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'm gonna guess no, but you never know.
Moving on.
Moving on.
All right. Never buy a toy that rhymes with smack. And this was called Swack, which consisted basically of a painted fancy mousetrap.
That seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah. So this beauty first made its appearance in 1968. At first, it may seem simple and harmless. However, this game became responsible for nearly broken fingers in smaller children and a number of minor injuries.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. It says, who would ever figure that a giant metal contraption invented for killing animals would ever hurt a child? The name says it all. Swack.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? Exactly. I don't mean to ignore anybody in chat here. I see your comments. I'll start peeing. I gotta wake up here. I'm on what's cold medicine here. Anyhow, let's go to moon boots. These are old moon boots. There's been many renditions, including plastic ones. But look at these dang things with the open springs.
What could go wrong?
Imagine all of the things that could go wrong on this. This toy was created in the 70s as essentially mini trampolines strapped to your feet. What could go wrong? The
What could
main
possibly
issue
go
was
wrong?
broken ankles.
Ah, yeah.
Don't put stuff on your feet that has springs.
Yeah. But it was fun until you got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Everything was fun till you got hurt. And then the one everybody knows about, but I thought I'd show a picture.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I was doing a little research last night on jarts.
Mm-hmm.
There are tons of pictures online, old pictures with people with these things stuck in their head.
We had a set of those. Nobody ever got hurt, but I can sure see how.
Well, there's sure some pictures. Well, I didn't get hurt from them.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of times where like the kids would be all on one side and the other side, and we'd be throwing them at each other. That was the chart game.
Well, I remember some friends playing a game where you would throw it straight up and see, like straight up to see if it would land. And who would stand there and get hit.
Don't buy darts. Jarts.
Yeah.
And so they're not little. They're like what, 1.5 feet, 2 feet.
Yeah, they're kind of, and there's a weight on the end of them too. So they
huge.
Yeah.
So don't get those. But those photos of these things sticking out of people's bodies were like crazy. All right, the next one is mind blowing. Photo 7.
Yes, it is.
Glass blowing. Now here's why it's mind blowing. Glass doesn't melt to about 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
So picture a kid melting molten glass. What could go? And he's blowing it.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Excuse me, I'm going to go for a cough. Hold on.
And it looks like Gilbert again. Gilbert, I can't remember what else they had. They had some, they had all kinds of other weird, exotic toys that probably weren't toys.
Yes, I'm back.
He's back.
I'm off again.
And now I don't understand.
I don't know. Just click some buttons. There you go.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know why. Whenever you go off screen, it doesn't come back right.
It's not
No idea what's going on.
Let's see here. This was made also in the 50s, and it was designed to teach glass blowing to children. And it does say glass gets melted about 1,000 degrees. Yeah, plus it can combust.
Have you ever seen glass blowing? It's pretty cool.
Oh,
It's my uncle used to do that. It's pretty wild. It's neat to watch.
All right, the next one is quite interesting. Photo 18. This one, I guarantee no one's, they probably remember the product, but don't know why it was recalled. Aquadots. So what the problem was, apparently there was a chemical reaction, and this chemical reaction caused it to form GHB, which is basically the date rape drug.
Ah, yikes.
So kids were getting knocked out on this GHB drug.
Wow.
A chemical reaction that this toy would make.
Lack of testing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Looks like it says 2007 Toy of the Year. I don't remember that, though. I don't remember that at all.
It became infamous in 2007 after 2 children slipped into a coma
Oh, man.
shortly after swallowing the beads. Incredibly, the beads were coated with a chemical that converted into GHB, the date rape drug.
That's crazy.
Spin Master later recalled, think about the poor company, 4.2 million Aquadot sets had to be
Oh,
recalled.
jeez.
Now, there's a danger in coming out with toys
Yikes.
because of something you just didn't think about. I'm sure nobody ever invented these toys thinking they were going to hurt children. It just, something happened. All right, enough of that. This next one's a doozy too. This is the CSI kit. Now, this came out, I think, around 2008. But the problem was the fingerprint powder had asbestos in it.
Oh, they missed that.
Tremolite, one of the most lethal kinds of asbestos.
Oh, geez.
And the dust. So it's like, what could go wrong? I do see the warning signs, but I'm sure it just says choking and so on.
It says choking, small parts, not suitable for children under 3.
I know.
Yikes.
Anyhow, so there we go. And then the next one, I think it's our last one, photo 20. This is called a kite tube. Well, let's think about this. So it's kind of like, what do you call it, parasailing?
Yeah.
And tubing. And, tubing can be very safe if the guy driving the boat really knows what he's doing. He doesn't go too fast. And, stays away from docks and people and boats. But this thing actually went airborne. So
what could go wrong?
To drive really quick, and your passengers, I think up to 2 or 3, would go airborne. And they would fly way up in the air. So, when you combine 2 dangerous things, well, what do you think you're going to get, right?
It's fun until it's not.
Yeah, parasailing and water tubing. It's a short-lived sensation. Came out in the mid-2000s. So it says that when it was pulled fast enough by a boat, the kite tubes would go airborne.
So, man, that just seems like a terrible.
It
seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, 3 people died.
Yikes!
Oh my God! So they had to recall 19,000 of these things.
Wow,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Crazy.
Like I said, it's fun until it's not.
All right, done with that.
All right,
that was fun.
Yeah, that's a fun little segment. That's I can't believe that stuff existed.
Yeah, we'll bring it back now and then.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, 5-minute witness bumper.
Okay, we ready? Here
it's
we
compliments
go.
of KentuckyBigfootResearch.org and Charlie Raymond. So this
is Charlie.
It's a film. Go ahead.
It's time for 5-minute witness. Short stories of strange encounters with the unknown.
And again, why is it doing? I have no idea. I have no idea why it's doing this.
I'm good. Just go ahead and play it. Here we go.
And I could see that something had drug the deer across the creek.
Can you turn it up a
and
bit?
up his trail. And I tracked it. And when it got to the gully that went up the mountain, it picked the deer up and carried it. And it carried it off over into another section that I call their home. And I called my friend that's also a Bigfooter with me, and I got him to come down and check it out. And he said, you know what? We need to go over in there and check that out and see if we can see anything. So then next weekend, we went over in what we call Bigfoot's home. It's over back behind my property in the Deja-Vu National Forest. And we went down in there and we found a place that it was a big rock. It had a hole going back in it, and it looked like something had been staying in there. We didn't know exactly what it was. And while we were standing there, a pebble come flying through the air and started bouncing down through the trees. He said, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "I seen the pebble. It landed about 15 foot to my right." And I said, "It come from the mountain up there on the top." I said, "Let's work our way up there."
Wow.
There we go.
There you are.
And I see Karl is in the back room.
In the green room. Yeah.
I think what I'll do is bring Karl on. We'll do tech breakdown with Karl.
Okay.
Karl may have things to add to the tech breakdown.
Okay.
Karl, he's nodding his head. Oh, yeah.
Ready to bring him on?
Oh, just hang on. Let me introduce him quick.
Okay.
Excuse me. So Karl is a seasoned software consultant and an avid Bigfoot researcher. And Karl has spent decades investigating Bigfoot sightings across the U.S., from rugged mountains of Arizona to the forests of Wisconsin, Georgia, and beyond. With 13, no less, I think we talked about probably 2, with 13 firsthand encounters.
Amazing.
That is amazing. I've had 3. Nothing spectacular, but yeah, it could happen.
Yeah.
Years of field research, expertise, audio analysis, blah, blah, blah. Karl has uncovered evidence that may change the way you think about Sasquatch. So in this episode, we are going to explore more of the Mogollon monster.
I think that's how you say it. I can't remember. We'll find out.
Bring Karl on. He'll tell us.
All right. 1 second here. And welcome, Karl.
Hey, Karl.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Good to have you on
Good
again.
to see you.
Yeah, it's Mogollon.
Mogi, that was
Mogollon.
it. Yeah, Mogollon. I don't know why in the world. I get it right some days I don't. Somebody was talking to me about the Mogollon Rim. They were going out there and they were asking me whether there's really any activity out there. And I said, oh, God, yes.
Oh, yes.
I said, well, they asked me why. And my answer was, Karl, and correct me. Here's my answer. I said the water is probably focused in certain key areas.
Mm-hmm.
If you get to those key areas, you're maybe going to have activity.
Absolutely. There's plenty of creeks, streams, ponds. Even if it was if there were no other lakes or creeks, in the middle of summer, August timeframe, and there wasn't monsoon season that was good enough. There's still there might be elk wallows in areas where there's some water retention that got collected in the previous.
Well, do the creeks dry up?
They do for the most part. Although I've actually in the one creek that I go to a lot, there's always further downstream. There always seems to be a little extra trickle, Plus, also you can up near the headwaters, which is where I've had 2 of my sightings. Two of my sightings were up near the headwaters of the springs that feed that creek, and there's a seep there, so there's water available year round. And like I said, there's I've had 2 sightings up near the spring area, so I know that they're using it. So,
well, if I was going to go down there and everything was dried up, I would focus where it wasn't dried up.
Exactly. Although there's been times where I actually found in like a sandy area where I've actually seen where they've dug down, down to the bedrock and gotten water. So there was almost like a little excavation down and there's no explanation for me, at least. It could have been a person, but that there's a lot easier ways to go get water.
So your witness were the digging to get to the water table.
Yeah. I've found just holes that were dug down into the sand to reach the bedrock where the water was running under the sand.
Wow.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Karl, is there? I forgot to ask you this last time. Are there any reported encounters in southern Arizona in the desert areas, or is it all just up north?
Absolutely. I sent you a bunch of emails on that as well.
Oh, good. I did. I you know what? I downloaded them all. I have them all here. I didn't dig into them yet, but that's interesting.
Yeah. So there's one that's called an email that I sent you that said was sighting number 13.
Yeah.
And then there's also like my desert research area. I can't remember the title on that, but yes, there's in southern Arizona. Not only in the lower desert, I've had an encounter, didn't see him, but had an encounter on the Gila River, kind of west of Phoenix, southwest of Phoenix, north of Gila Bend.
Keyword though, he said on a river, near a river.
Yep,
Yes, absolutely. Yep. And the same thing, the research area I go to is on the lower Salt River. I know exactly how they transit and how they're getting food and everything. I mean, it's ideal location for them, and it's so rugged that nobody really goes back up in that area. But and then if you go further south, you have what they call sky islands in Arizona. So it's these extremely tall mountains where the base of the mountain may be 2,000 foot elevation and the top is 11,000 feet. So it's a very dramatic climate change and rise in just a temperate, all the different temperate zone. It goes all the way from lower desert up to almost Canadian ecosystem. And Mount Graham is the Pinaleo Mountains in southeastern Arizona near Safford is one of those mountain ranges. And I've had multiple encounters up there. Didn't see them, although one group I took up there actually, it was actually with Border Patrol, believe it or not. And it was Border Patrol explorers, and the kids in one group actually they heard something coming up, and then they actually saw eye shine in the not eye shine, but I'm talking just reflection of eyes off of the IR of their night vision that they were using in the brush, and they weren't sure about it, and they passed the night vision goggles around a little bit to all the kids, and then the reflection blinked and lowered from where
Very
it was.
cool.
So, yeah, wow. That was pretty cool.
Can we let's go ahead and do our last little 2 sections with Karl's involvement.
Sure.
I've got 5 really cool animal clips too I want to do.
Okay.
But let's do tech breakdown. Do you have mosquitoes, Karl, in
Arizona?
Any of your research areas?
No.
Okay. Well then just be quiet.
He's got other fun stuff, but
just be
mosquitoes.
Let's do
I'm not saying I haven't encountered them dramatically in the other areas I researched.
Yes,
Arizona,
that's true.
No.
All right. Well, let's do tech breakdown, Jeff.
All right.
All right, spring is almost here, and in places that Karl doesn't go probably at that time of year, like Wisconsin, are full of mosquitoes. And I do get asked a lot, like, how do you deal with mosquitoes? And most people they reach for the sprays, right? The DEET, the mosquito repellent. That stuff kind of works, but only if you spray it on your skin and your actual face and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk about an alternative that does work really good. I don't know how it magically works. I don't even know ultimately if it's going to be proven to be safe, but it's been around a long time. Have you ever used a thermal cell, Karl?
No,
Jeff?
I haven't.
I know I've seen them before. I
Okay.
can't remember. I think some friends. I don't have them, but I know some friends have used them.
Okay, go to photo 21. This is the standard old-fashioned model of the thermocell.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you that people do swear by them. They
work,
basically, you put a little cartridge in the bottom of butane, and you click a piezo crystal, which is that switch up in the upper right corner. You click that while you're turning the gas on, the middle knob, and then it lights, and then it's a tiny flame, and it heats this pad that's got the magic repellent on it. And apparently even kills mosquitoes. Like, they just drop out of the sky. We used like mosquito coils when we were up at Snell. And I think it puts out a very similar chemical out of those burning mosquito coils. And the mosquitoes literally just drop out of the sky instantly in the cabin. You know, the cabin will be full of them and they just drop.
Oh,
interesting.
So the idea is you wear this, and it kills and repels mosquitoes from 15 foot in every direction. So you don't have any chemicals on your skin.
Right.
DEET
nice.
is not, you know.
Does that like clip on your belt, or how does that work?
Yeah, there's a belt clip on the back.
Okay,
You just
all right.
clip it on your belt clip. They're not much money. The actual thermocell unit is like $19.
Oh.
And then the refill, which you get about 72 hours of refills for like $30. So you're going to have $50 invested, you know.
Yeah.
But this is the way to go. I've got this unit right here, and I've got in fact, I just bought a new pack of the things. But they're really cool. There's the refill, and you're going to need to buy that too. There's ones too that you can get a little more money. They claim they go out 30 feet. They claim they go out 50 feet, whatever. And then for like your patio or your campgrounds, they have lanterns that you can do that are put out, you know, bigger volumes. But these things do really, really work.
Good.
It's amazing. I don't know.
That's
good to know.
I don't know why. I have no idea. It's a secret. It's a secret. And so then next week, I'm going to talk about the way for sure that you can repel all wood ticks. Like you won't get any wood ticks. None.
Really?
It's really safe, and you won't have any ticks. So we'll do that next week. I won't do that this week. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Geiger counters next week too.
Cool.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but you know, I've really never ever gotten a tick out in the wild in Arizona, but I certainly have gotten them everywhere else. Where it's like,
Oh, you have gotten ticks, yeah.
I get back to my hotel room or whatever, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, like.
Oh, it's insane up here.
Yeah, it's bad up north, the northern.
Wow.
Yeah. I always like to tell the story of Blaine when we were out filming something, and he was up north with me, and him and Jim came back, and they picked off like 100 wood ticks each, put them in a cup. I'm like, why didn't you guys flush them down the toilet or something? So they put them in a cup. Well, they all escaped.
Oh, of course.
200 wood ticks escaped into the hotel room. They just
no.
left.
Oh,
They
no.
just left. I'm like, no.
Oh, that's horrible.
The next people that check in there, oh God. Anyhow,
That's bad.
so that's it.
That's
Now
not
let's just
good.
do our 5 clips. Take probably 2 minutes to get through 5 clips.
Some clips.
Then we're gonna just talk Bigfoot, Karl.
All right, here comes some clips.
All right, clip 1. Sound is good.
Okay.
Y'all, I don't know. A lot of people know what the aardvark is, but a lot of them haven't seen one in a long time, and they forget. So here is a really good footage of an aardvark. Look at the claws on this thing.
Oh yeah.
And I can't even remember where aardvarks. I think they're from like South America.
I think you're right.
Yep.
That sounds right.
Leave that one more time. Oh, that's fine. It's
Oh, I can bring it back.
Just look at this thing. Such a weird. Sure, a
That
lot
is
of
an odd
hair.
animal.
Hit the zoomies.
And their tongue is really long. It's
What a strange looking critter.
Zoomies. Okay, clip 2.
Yep. Give me 1 second here.
I was going to say, I was a
Sounds
junior
good.
zookeeper at the Phoenix Zoo back in the mid 70s, and they had an aardvark there. And I just remember,
Jeff, somebody said there
remember
was
that
no
song.
video playing.
We saw it
Oh.
though, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw it.
I don't know
Aardvark?
what's
The
going on.
heck is going on here?
So weird.
I have no idea what to do.
So let's see. Can't see it. Russell Johnson.
Why?
AV
I mean,
sucks tonight, says Slyvox. That doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't, because we can see it. How are we supposed to know that it's? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Here, I'm gonna monitor this live. I can do this if I turn my sound down. I've never done this, but let's see what it looks like. Let's see if I can do this. I want to see this for myself. It doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't make any sense because it looks totally normal
Yeah, exactly.
for us.
It's kind of like what we see. Maybe you need to do a studio reboot, Jeff. I
Okay.
did 3 of them today. I'm not doing another one.
All right. You want me to step away here and I can do a reboot
Yeah, I
here?
can talk to Carl, and I think we'll be okay.
All right. I'll be back in a
All right,
minute.
do a reboot.
All right.
So, do you remember that the humming? Remember how excited I got about that
Absolutely. Yeah.
that humming? Well, David's been working with it now.
Oh, okay.
He's been doing spectrographs and all sorts of work, and he sent me a number of emails about it because you have that recording,
hmm
and that is to like the exact thing. Like
Is
it
it?
matches exact all these other recordings,
Wow.
and it's really exciting.
That-
So I just want to know, what is the story behind that recording that you? Then we'll have
So-
Jeff play it. He's got it.
Yeah, so that was the so I did a lot of work on the cells, the Mike and Sandy Cells site in northeastern Oklahoma, and actually backing up other researchers, including MK Davis. But MK had sent me a clip of the video clip saying, "Here's the audio in here. I think there's some sound, or I think I hear some talking, or there's." And I sent a bunch of those audio clips to you, and we can play some of those tonight as well of the talking. But but in one
Let's
of
just
those,
call it let's call it the hum,
the hum. Okay,
the Bigfoot hum.
yeah.
When you first heard that, was it far away and then it got closer, or was it?
No. So I was actually working on. There was 2 Sasquatch that were. It was 2 different individuals because it was 2 different voices, and they were, and it was they were probably just from the distance from the microphone, I'd say one was maybe 30 feet from the microphone, and then the other one was maybe 80 feet from the microphone. And and you could just hear them talking. Well, I was going in there and replaying that, trying to clean it up so I could hear that talk a little bit, because they weren't incredibly loud necessarily, but so I was trying to go in there and drop out like cricket sounds and other all the other sounds that were kind of masking the voices. And the more I worked on that clip of audio, trying to clean up those voices, I was like ill. I just couldn't. I was getting. It's like I had a headache. I felt like I was going to pass out. I was working it. And I was like, oh, I got to stop working on this. I better go sit down, lay down on the couch or something. And I stopped it. And about 10 minutes later, I started feeling better. And I was like, well, that's weird. And I was like, well, let me go back and work on that audio a little bit, more. So I booted it up, and I was like, man, now I'm starting to feel that same feeling again. And I was like, that's just weird. So I stopped for a little bit. Once again, I felt good, within 10, 15 minutes. So I came back to it, and instead of really playing it, I did it without my noise canceling headphones on, and I looked at the audio, just the spectrum, right? And I see this modulation between, I don't know, it was like 16 hertz and 18, 19 hertz. There was some modulation down in there, and it was
right.
And it wasn't, there was, at times it was just nothing in there in that band, and then they would modulate, right? So I was like, well, what the hell is that? I can't hear it. I couldn't hear it at all. So I took that clip and I bumped it up, and I think I put the notes that I had in the audio clip.
Yeah, David got those. And by the way, we did compare all of these sounds to, and he does every time, hummingbirds, moths, all that stuff. No, this is very different. It's much more metallic-y.
It made me ill. So, it was definitely in the infrasound range, right? Sounds like a didgeridoo. And so I took that piece of the audio, and then I bumped it up so I could move it into the audible range, which is where you can hear that, and that's what you get is the clip that I have. So
do you have that, Jeff? That
I do. Give me 1 second
here.
we'll
play it. By the way, somebody had mentioned that YouTube is doing real-time censorship.
Really?
Oh, so when you're playing a clip, they're going, oh, that's a blah, blah, blah's clip. Well, of course, we're doing it with fair use because we're commenting on it. We're picking these, giving them publicity and so on. But that's possible. So we'll have to try one just for fun here.
I was going to say,
I'm monitoring it on my phone. I'm curious.
All right. Well, I've got the audio here.
Okay,
yeah, let's play that.
Let's do it.
Hopefully this works.
It almost sounds like horn. Yeah, that's so it.
That was. Yep.
Everybody hearing that in chat?
Huh.
So
seems like it worked.
This is what we couldn't hear. I couldn't hear that, right? So,
what did you have to do exactly to hear it? Because it's so clear now.
Yeah, I did the because it's below our hearing range, infrasound. So, and I can't remember what did I put on there because I looked at my notes. I put it in the title.
Plus 10 decibels amplified, plus 80 hertz adjusted.
Yep. So it's an 80 hertz adjust. So that brought it up into our audible range.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
Yep.
Well, what's cool about the sound is many of the recordings that are made you can already hear them, but then they show an area of them that go way into the infrasonic sound part.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But when you said you got ill, how long were you ill for?
Well, at that time it was. The first one, because I was at it for quite a while. At that, it was probably 10, 15 minutes probably because I thought I was going to pass out at that point. Right now, and then each time it was maybe another 10 minutes after listening to it. But when I was on Long Island, so if you can tell me what was blasting me with infrasound on Long Island, I'd love to hear it. But it wasn't an airplane landing or anything like that. But because I actually got a glimpse of something on thermal, and I had the same sensation. Now I actually hadn't. I had done the audio. Let me make sure I have the sequence right. No, I had actually did the audio prior to having that encounter on Long Island where I got blasted, and it dropped me to my knees. I just couldn't even focus.
Well, first off, you must be highly, subject to being affected by infrasound.
Oh yeah,
some people are. Not everybody is.
I'm not. I mean, I can have if a train passes by on the railroad tracks. I mean, there's a lot of infrasound generated by a train on the tracks. Even car tire noise
doesn't bother you,
and that doesn't bother me. It had to do, I think, with this modulation of that, to where and I know that I've seen infrasound modulated at water coming out of a faucet, and the water did just weird things, right? Well, what are we made up of, right? We're made up of a lot of water, and I think that this modulation, I think it ends up just scrambling us, and I think they use it for the most part as not as defensive, but as offensive in hunting. That's my take on it.
That's plausible.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
We don't know yet, but play it one more time now that people are kind of tuned in. People are saying it's like a didgeridoo, which is probably the closest description.
Yeah.
It's not a frog. It's not. It's got this horn kind of quality to it, like it's being pushed out.
Yeah, it's right.
You kind of hear that. You can kind of hear the nasally kind of
just
sound.
play it again.
Exactly.
And the reason this is so important because it's new. This is a new thing that we're learning Bigfoots do. And there hasn't been anything new in many years, guys. So pay attention.
Yeah. I mean, it made me nauseated. It was just that.
Well, this has been recorded all over the U.S., including I recorded hours of it up in Canada one night.
Yeah.
And it's that same metallic. It's kind of a metallic-y almost.
Well, I've actually, when I was at my research site in Illinois, in the Chicago suburbs, when one of them actually hit me with a little bit of infrasound, but I actually heard them go like, and then so I heard this, and then it dropped off into nothing. But then I felt it, almost like back in another lifetime, I actually raced cars and stuff. And I'd be out, I could just feel it, like you're getting hit with sound, but you can't hear anything. But when I kind of heard them start it and then it dropped down into inaudible, I kind of laughed a little bit at them, and then they stopped when I laughed.
Do you have any expeditions coming up, Karl?
I really haven't done expeditions, but actually, although this weekend I'm going to go out to my desert research area, and do a little bit of work. But
why don't you put this on? Bring a little Bluetooth speaker and play this sound.
Oh yeah. You know what? I've never played that clip in the woods. I mean, I've got a call blaster.
Will you?
I will. I took that call blaster though out, and I actually loaded up blue whale sounds. So and little minke whale as well. So here's is there a song, right? And it's like, but the blue whale sound, it's like, and that was horrible, I know, but
Yeah, you do that pretty well, actually.
I'm not a whale, but and so I played this for, I think I had it on the audio I had all rigged up to play for about 45 minutes on this loop, and then there was just 15 minutes of silence, and then it repeated the audio clip that I'd put together for call blasting. So myself and another researcher are out in the field. He's got thermal and night vision and everything behind me, and I'm just sitting like bait on a log with my call blaster playing whale song, right? Well, about halfway through the first that first 45 minutes, we heard something up on the ridge above us, and it moved along, crunch, 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 and then got to a location where it just stopped, right? And it was almost directly above me, but way up on the high ground on the ridge. And I kind of, leaned back and I said, you heard that, right? And he goes, yep. And I said, you see anything? He goes, nope. So we sat there. It played out the last of the 45 minutes, went to the 15 minutes of silence, restarted. 45 minutes later, got back into the silent part again. And during that 15 minutes of silence on the second go round, up from the ridge, we hear a blue whale calling back to us during the silence.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool. And then others that were nearby heard it, and they said, oh, you were playing it again? And I go, nope. I said, unless you tell me there's a blue whale in the woods here, I won't believe that. So
that's crazy.
And I did send you one of the audio clips from Texas, where they actually were imitating a crow. So you could actually hear the crow, and the Sasquatch was near the microphone, or not I want to say near, a distance away. A lot of these were not, when the audio that you hear on those clips is not like, oh, they were standing right up near the microphone. I mean, it was faint. It was, a lot of them were masked over with forest sounds, crickets and other bugs. So I actually cleaned that out where you can actually hear better, but you hear this crow call, and then yeah, thanks. Yeah, I did the cleanup work on that for MK, but yeah, so you hear the crow call, and then all of a sudden you hear the Sasquatch go and trying to imitate it. It's pretty funny.
Which email was that in?
It said I think Texas Audio. I think it was one of the first ones I sent this afternoon.
Let's see here. I'll do some looking here while you're still talking.
Okay, all right.
What's interesting is that all animals make sounds, right? Most mammals do. And the question is what does this sound for? Is it to soothe their family? Is it to communicate with each other? Is it to cause confusion with people? Is it to confuse animals for hunting? Is it, God, who knows? What do you think?
In regards to the infrasound, or
the sound that made you ill.
Yeah. I honestly think they do it mostly for hunting. I think prey, if they get in close to some prey, deer or whatever, I could imagine a deer would just kind of be totally confused and maybe even pass out. I mean, like I said, I've found elk carcasses out up on the Mogollon Rim, and each one of those had a radial fracture of its left leg. That was something, had grabbed the leg and done this with it, right? So, I mean, I think that, I don't know if they can like trance, put them into a slight trance to give them an advantage of catching them. I know Sasquatch are incredibly powerful, and they're fast. I mean, they're very fast, and having seen one run, it was astonishing. But it's yeah, I don't know. I couldn't say definitively, but I think it's used in hunting, or like in my case when I had that encounter on New York out on Long Island. I think that
Well,
was
my question is, once you enhanced it, does it make you ill?
no,
Enhanced?
no. In fact, once I boosted it up, not a problem. If you
that
took
makes
that
sense.
audio clip and you dropped it at 80 hertz, look out. I'm just telling you, if you want to have some fun playing with your brain, scrambling your brain, try that.
Well, I think I found the clip. So is it from the Cells site? Is that the right one?
Yes, Cell site. Yep.
All right, and it's the one that says Sasquatch copies crows. Is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got the clip ready here. You guys want to hear it?
Talk us through, Carl.
So this is on their farm, and they have multiple Sasquatch visit that farm, and even today, even with Sandy now passed on, but they a bunch of researchers went there. They set up different cameras, tried different techniques, different audio devices, etc. And you can kind of hear this Sasquatch moving around here. And there, you heard it.
Is this that footage that you can actually see that MK had up, where there's like a Bigfoot climbing over a fence?
No, same site. Yep.
It is the same site.
Mm-hmm. You
Okay.
hear him talking, saying Chakawea.
Back that up a little bit, please. Now, David says he's got a whole category of interesting voice tonality that he calls crow talker.
Hmm. And then I think the crow.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So it tries to make words, but like in crow tone. Crow tone, is that right, Carl?
It's kind of once you hear the crow, we're almost there. I think you'll hear him try to imitate the crow.
Okay.
But this is the full clip. And then so I think that was it.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Chakawea is what they said. I don't know.
But that is the same farm where they recorded footage using mirrors, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep.
It is interesting. I tell you, I've watched that a lot, and I've done what I could to analyze it, and I couldn't come to any solid conclusion, but it's definitely very interesting. There's a few clips. One where one of the creatures seems to kind of float.
Yeah.
So smooth.
Oh yeah. Total smooth run. And in fact, I mean, the ones I've seen running, whatever, it was just like they were on a hoverboard. I mean, obviously their legs were moving, but there was no bounce to their step. It was just smooth. It was,
like really smooth.
Really smooth. Not
like
there was no bouncing like we do. Yeah. So,
wow.
There is another clip on there. I know somebody said scary, but there's one of those other clips of audio. There is I can't remember if it was called Angry or maybe Woo Woo. I can't remember.
I have one called
but-
Woo Woo.
Okay.
Okay, give me one second. I'll pull that up.
Yeah, so on this audio, they actually, from what I was told, is that they had, they put out food for them, and I think there was no food at one point, and it kind of got angry. So.
Oh.
Whoa, that was loud.
I just wait.
That was interesting. You think this is legit?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Okay.
I saw the, well, and you can't see anything, but it's on the video. It's on the videotape. So it's, yeah, and I have to get all those.
Well, I have no reason to believe it's not. Like I said, I spent plenty of time, like a lot, trying to debunk that video, and I can't.
No, and there's glimpses, and I mean, MK scoured a lot of those videos. He didn't have all of them. I actually went to the site and I actually collected. I've got all of the, at least all of the tapes that weren't taken by other investigators. I'll put it that way. But I have, I don't know, I think I have like 48 VHS tapes, and it's, yeah, I'm going to get them digitized, and we'll start scanning through all those as well. But I just need a little time.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Do you have more? I mean, what do we all have that we
Yeah,
need?
there's a bunch more on that.
Yeah, what else?
Let's keep going. This is interesting.
Yeah. Oh, there's talking. In fact, one of them it's called Neshoba, and according to Sandy's diaries, which I have a copy of, it actually says that, you know, one of the Sasquatches named Neshoba in this diary. In this one, you hear it actually sitting there practicing the name or saying the name out loud as it's.
Hey, Jeff, hold on a second.
Yeah,
Jeff, you need to deal with.
I'm cleaning it up.
Yeah, there's some really weird going on. Under
getting-
about 1 million names.
Yeah, we're getting spammed here by something.
Boy, I'd say.
I saw that bouncing along there.
Like, why bother? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's crazy.
really?
I'll keep working on this. I have Neshoba here though.
Okay. All right. Great.
I'll pull that one up, and I'll keep
Let's see
working
if we
on
can
this.
knock that spammer down here.
Yep, I'm working on it.
Boy, he's got like 50 names.
There's a car passing by.
Neshoba.
Where's the exact, I mean, not the exact location. What area is this?
Near Paris, Texas. But yes, William points out Neshoba. It's actually a Choctaw word. I believe it means wolf. And like I said, they've been hanging around us. Oh, sorry.
Oh, our hacker finally ran out of names.
Yeah, I think I got them all.
Jeez. Jesus. That guy prepared.
And those are her chickens calling. So,
Say, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
people are saying that chat's been hacked.
Really?
Yeah, like hacked. There's more stuff coming in.
Yep, I got it.
wow.
Apparently, it kicked all the people out of chat.
Yeah, there's some kind of nefarious hacking going on here. I'll stay on it.
Okay. And you could hear him moving. I remember this video. He never got in front of the camera, but he was right like behind the camera. But
See, let's just all hang up and then just come back in.
we could do that.
Let's do that.
Let's
Was
see if
that? Maybe that wouldn't work. Jeff, what do you think?
I have no idea if the stream what happens to the stream if we're all back off at the same time.
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of screwed up.
Yeah, probably would.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of bizarre.
Well, I think I got them all. It's
Just keep getting them, shooting them with a BB gun.
Yep, I'm watching them.
Fish in a barrel. But yeah, there's one audio that it's called chanting, and it was interesting. I'll just give a little thing on this, but it actually you hear one chanting and repeats the same chant, and the interesting thing is that in the morning there was actually a chicken that had been killed, and the bones from the chicken were all laid out in a pattern on the ground when they found that, and on that same tape from that on that the tape that was done the night before, this audio was on that tape, so the tape is actually dark, you can't see anything, just hear it in the background. But like I said, a lot of these were faint. If anybody was going to try to fake these, they wouldn't just make it so faint in the background that you could play the thing 20 times and not find it, you know what I mean, until you clear out all the rest of the audio debris in there. So
the clip called Chanting, is that the one you want?
Chanting, yeah.
Got it ready to go right here.
And when I heard it, I thought it was like religious, That's a gate. I'm not sure. I think I may have left it. Oh wait, this is further distance away.
Wow.
Almost sound like the hum.
Right?
That's a good clip.
It is a good clip. But like I said, just hearing that, right? That at least from my perspective, okay, so why would they be doing that? Why would they, lay out, bones on the ground in a pattern, and repeating the same chant? It was the same chant. So it was purposeful. It wasn't just like, making, random sounds, right? It was, it was the same saying. So, there was definitely, purpose behind that.
And I think it's worth repeating, just for anybody that's kind of new to this stuff. Even when it sounds like something that a human could be reproducing, it's not. When you put it up on a spectrograph, I'm sure, Karl, can you explain that? You can explain that better than I can, but you know where I'm going.
Yeah, there's almost two tones at the same time moving through that spectrograph. Now that audio that you heard, like I said, that was pretty faint on the audio, so I had to boost it. I did noise reduction on it. That's some of the little kind of sounds that you hear in there is, but dropped out all the crickets and frogs and whatnot. So, but yeah, when you actually listen to that in standard fine, there was actually almost a dual tone to it. I don't know how else to explain it. And in fact, I did find that I did see that dual tone. Definitely, there was on the, can't remember the email. It was like Arizona Sounds, I think, or something.
Yep, I have that.
Okay. There was one on there, I think, that was says double cabin, I think.
Yep, I got it. Give me 1 second here. But yeah, I just wanted to repeat that because for the average person coming in, you might think, oh, that sounds like a human did that. Well, no. If you put it under a spectrogram, a human can't. I mean, even though it sounds the same, a human can't make those sounds.
No,
it's an important point.
And so this, if you can load up that double cabin one. So I'll give you a little background before you start it. So
sure.
The researcher, a friend of mine, Jeff Johnson, actually recorded this. I was camped maybe a mile and a half away. I heard them, the howls. He actually had a recorder going in his tent. So at first you hear this howl, and then there's a second howl. And after the second howl, it kind of woke him up, and you hear him kind of rustling in his sleeping bag, and then a coyote joins in, and as the coyote joins in, you hear a third howl right after that. So I'll let you listen to this clip here.
All right.
Sleeping bag. And you hear underneath the coyote, you hear the extra howl. It's kind of, yeah, I remember when I heard it from my tent, but
it's
but
crazy.
it wasn't as good as that recording. But
That's good.
Yeah, the other interesting one. So on that same email, there's actually a recording of myself doing a howl, and if you play the one that actually says Karl howl from 0.5 miles away, so
I don't
is that on that one?
think it's not in the. It must be a different one.
Oh, okay.
The Arizona audio doesn't have that I'm seeing.
Okay. What else is in that email?
The Arizona has got double cabin howl, microphone messed with, second howl, close knock, 3 whoops.
Oh, the close knock one is pretty neat.
Okay.
So, I had a recorder hung up in a tree 12 feet off the ground, you kind of hear it. You kind of hear it, go to respond to a distant whoop, and it goes and knocks, and it knocks. It's not too far from things. So I know there's a lot of people that say like, oh, no, it's not knocking. It's as trees cool down at night, they make a popping sound or whatever. I was like, I've been all over the place and camped a lot in Arizona. I've never heard, trees just pop, certainly not with the frequency that, or repetitiveness, 2 pops in a row, well, okay, whatever. But, and then other people say, oh, no, they're just hitting rocks together. They're not what you can definitely hear in this, that it's using a branch and hitting a tree. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yep, that was, and then you hear it walk back. But. Good job, Brendan. Yeah, I've thought about doing that as well.
He's it's a pretty neat project he's working on. I when he's done, I'll get some pictures from him. We can talk about it on the show. But he's got a pretty neat kind of a Frankenstein together setup to do long-term recording.
Now, is that cell phone designed in order to send the audio back real time, so you don't have to go out to the site, or is that a?
I don't recall. He can maybe answer in this chat here. I can't recall if it's set up. I think he's just using it as a recorder. I think.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Yep. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time setting up recorders and all that. The wildest one. I had that audio set up, and it was so cold that night. And when I heard them talking, woke up. I was like 2 a.m. I hear them. Thanks, Brendan. I heard them talking, and it was, there was an argument. I mean, it was just like. And this other one was like, I mean, it was.
I've heard that in person up at Snow when they're arguing.
Yeah, it was this. And this was up on the Mogollon Rim, but they were arguing, and I thought, oh, this is great. I got some fantastic audio, because I had my audio recorder hanging outside. Well, it got so cold that it killed the batteries about an hour before this conversation occurred. And so I got out and I went back to play it, loaded it on my laptop, and I was like, oh no. I was like, it died right about 1 a.m. So
Karl, what do you recommend? What's the best way to because Brendan, I'm helping Brendan with this project, so we're gonna have hours and hours and hours of audio. What's the best way to filter through that and try to find interesting stuff?
So what I've done, I've gone into just used a tool where you can actually kind of pick out the highlights, although I have gone back, at times when I was bored and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go back and revisit the raw 8 hours of recording, and back in the day, I would hang out 5 recorders, so I just I'd be working and I'd stick on some earphones and I'd just be listening to that audio, right? Instead of looking at just the peaks and valleys on the, and I'm telling you, there was one where there was a very distant howl that I picked up on there that I did not show up in the, as a peak on the, looking at the analysis of it. So, it's just like if you're doing paranormal research, right? You probably want to listen to all the tapes.
There's some stuff that's so faint, hard to pick up. Yeah.
What else do we have, Jeff?
Oh gosh.
Carl.
You got lots. What else? Anything else come to mind, Carl?
Let's see. What else did I have in the Arizona one?
In the last one you had is it says BFRO Expedition Original Howls 2008.
So this was the audio that I heard on the very first night that I was on an expedition. Granted, like I said, I had experiences previously, not realizing they were experiences until actually I started to learn behaviors and stuff. But in 2008, this was the audio, I think, from July 31st. And it's a clip that, so the lead investigator, or the person who was leading the BFRO expedition, I think you probably know him. His name's Matt. And Matt was at the base camp, and he did a howl. You'll hear him kind of give out a call, and within moments, there's a howl that comes back from the north. A couple seconds later, from the northwest, and you hear one of the other researchers, actually Jeff's daughter, kind of say, "I could hear it perfectly." She whispers it because we're standing in the dark, probably about a quarter mile away from where Matt was, and then we hear a few, about maybe 5 or 6, 7 seconds later from the southwest, a call comes in. So you can play that and you'll hear.
Okay, this is Matt. I'm going to give a howl in 10 seconds.
That was not an echo. There's still that one. 2. Sorry, I just pulled it down. To my 12. 2 of them. Oh my God, another one. We need to tell him we can hear us.
I hear people yelling back at us.
No.
That's a good clip.
Yeah. So, and that, when I heard that, the first, because like I told my son, I think I covered this in my first episode of this, but on being on Untold. But I told my son, I said, hey, either we, we'll go out camping and you and I will have fun and we'll maybe hang out with some crazy people, but maybe we'll learn something, right? And it was that very first evening, and when I heard that, I said, I need to figure out what that is and what they are, and that's the recording that set me off on the trail. So
you have a group here called Carl Howling. Is that what you were looking for before?
Yeah. So there's one where the recording actually occurred right where I was howling, and then there's one called Carl 0.5 miles away, or 0.5 something. And the 0.5, so you can hear me making a call, and it's a short one. Short howl, and then you hear me a half mile away, and that's kind of how you hear it. And you heard those other howls, right? So you'll hear what I sound like when I'm at a distance to Sasquatch. So
all right, so this is here we go.
That's me. All right. Yep. And and I do a very, very long howl. I've got a little lung capacity for, I'm 6'5", so I can deal with it. I can dish it out.
That's pretty good.
But I don't howl very often in the woods, and there's been times where my voice was just gravelly, or I just, I just couldn't do it. So I'll hook up the call blaster and I'll just blast like the Carl long howl MP3 that I sent you as well. So
I've got what it says Carl Howl. It doesn't say long howl. There's this is Carl Howl 2 source Howl one source, whoop one source.
Yeah, maybe try the Howl one source. Maybe try that one. That might be long
Howl
one.
one source. Okay. 1 second here. Here we go.
Whoa! Oh, that was a short one. All right. It must have been the other one. I'm sorry.
The one that says whoop one source?
So that one's interesting. So there was I had a recorder hung up down the canyon. I did a single whoop. Now I did that. Now you heard the howl that I did from a distance, from a half mile away, right? And it was just one howl that you heard, right? And I only did one howl. It was not even a half hour later, I did a whoop. One whoop, and yet we heard two whoops in the thing. So it was almost an immediate response to it. And that was the one, not the source one. Well, you can play the source one so everybody can hear that I only did one whoop. But
okay.
That was you.
That was me.
Okay.
Is that him?
Oh, so that was two. So you heard two on that, right?
Yep.
So if you play the source one, you hear I only did it once, but
that was the source one, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, you have another one that says whoop. You want to try that one?
Yeah, let's try that one.
Okay, hold on. Give me a second here.
So that was, I think that one, you heard the two whoops in it though. And there, I only did one whoop. So this is the same timestamp on a different recorder that was up at my location.
Okay.
There's a question for you, Karl.
Oh, this is the. That's the same. I must have sent you two of the same. I'm sorry.
Oh, it might be. Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears for a minute here.
Sure.
Karl, you've had more sightings than you've talked about on our show last time.
Sure.
Do you want to share a couple of other ones that we haven't heard yet?
Absolutely. So I'll share my sixth sighting, and that was in Arizona up on the Mogollon Rim. I'll stay with that theme. And my daughter actually was going to Northern Arizona University at the time. Well, it was May. They had just opened the research area I go to, because they close it during the winter time because snow melt and stuff. People started driving up there, it would just chew up the roads, and they don't want to, so they keep them closed until the roads are dry enough. So they had just opened. It was like I want to say May 10th, so I was driving up to Flagstaff from Phoenix in order to, go collect all her stuff from her dorm as she has to move out. And so I drove up. On the way up there, I was like, I'm just going to swing into my research area. All right. So I pulled up to the edge of the canyon, and I was just like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can get down towards where the springs are that feed the creek, and see what I could find. Right. So I actually had my video camera in my hand. Don't look for. I mean, I have the footage from it, but it's not. You can hear some stuff, but you can't see it because I screwed up. But so I'm walking down. I got the little flip out screen. I'm just holding it in my hand. As I'm walking down, I find this game trail that goes right down into the canyon, and it's completely concealed by vegetation all the way down to the meadow at the bottom of the canyon. I get down to the bottom of the canyon, and before I don't even step out, I'm just behind the brush still, and I'm looking out to the south, up one of the side canyon, where it's kind of splits there, and I'm just scanning the camera up there, looking for any movement, and I just stepped 2 steps out onto the meadow, and I'm still filming that direction, but out of the corner of my eye, I see a little bit of movement, and I'm thinking, oh, it's a whatever, could be a bird or something. I didn't know, and the best part was that the wind was blowing from west to east across the canyon, and and I was coming down on the east side of the canyon. So even if there was any smell or anything else, I would have totally surprised them. So I didn't know if it was a deer or something, but I'm just filming this direction. And so I just turned my head to just get a good look at whatever the movement I saw. And it was, there was a Sasquatch at the base of a tree, just squatted down, so his butt's almost touching the ground, his knees are up, right? And in between his legs, he's digging at this base of this fallen tree, and just digging down there, and it just goes. As it's got its head down, it goes and looks up at me, and our eyes are locked, and I'm just, I'm astonished because, at first when I glanced over there, if it wasn't for the arm movement, I would have scanned right over that, because we like to call them stump squatches, all right, where somebody goes, oh look, and it's like, no, that's a stump, but with the arm movement, that was the movement I saw, and I was still holding the camera this way, but I had my head turned, and I'm looking straight across the meadow at it, and it's 120 feet away, and he's just staring intently at me. Now, that was really the first time I actually really got a good look at a face, and and it was interesting because the eyes, you did not see whites of the eyes in the eyes, and because I was staring right into the eyes, just black.
A lot of people describe Karl like it's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that kind of what
like
you
goggles
got too?
almost? Yeah,
like goggles or sunglasses?
Big eyes, and so it. It was probably only 1 second, all right, but when looking at each other across that 120 feet is not very far, and with that, so like I told you, his hands were down in between his legs, and he's just done this, right, and from that position where he squatted down so tight on the ground that you wouldn't even, you couldn't even determine size, right? From that, he launches up into the air, and he takes one step away from the thing, and boom, he's in the brush. And by the time I actually turned the camera, he's heading up the hill through the brush. And if you had told me that somebody was up on top of the hill and put a car in neutral and let it roll down through the brush, it was just boom, boom, crash, boom, boom.
So, okay, well, let's just back up a bit, Karl.
Sure.
Obviously, yeah, people do see like stumps that look like Bigfoot, but you seeing this thing moving,
right?
It's way different than seeing a stump.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
There's no way you can be mistaken.
No, when he jumped up, so he was like about 8 foot tall, and as he came out of that crouching position, and I actually didn't write this down a lot, but I'll tell people about it because, well, it's a good story. So I just want to say that Sasquatches are uncircumcised. So,
really?
And interestingly enough,
whoa.
Okay.
So you can see the genitalia.
Yes. Yep. And it was dark gray, and his face actually was the skin was very dark gray.
This is like a class. There should be a category for this, not class A, but it's like class A plus.
Yeah. Oh, it was, like I said, and he took off. Now, after he took off, I didn't like run over there, right? But the best part was that as he ran off the hill, the area that I was videotaping initially when I came out onto the meadow, I heard at least 2 individuals crashing through the brush in there, and I was like, I was like, oh my God, like they're all, they were down in there foraging, and big family unit, and I kind of messed up their picnic, but so
That's crazy.
from that location, I just ended up walking further downstream, down through the canyon, looking for some prints, so I went on this hike for about an hour, and on the way back up into the meadow, then I stopped at the location where this male had been digging, and it was obvious he was digging up. There was like small like fern sprouts coming up and stuff, and I think that he was eating those. But it was interesting was that from a squatting position to where his first impression was in the forest litter. Now, it wasn't castable or anything, but it was a little over. It was right about almost 76 inches. So a little over 6 feet. So you can imagine that the action just from going from fiddleheads. Thank you. That was the word I was thinking of. And it came up from, that crouching position. You can imagine that just the strength in order to step almost 6 feet, over 6 feet away from where you were crouched. I mean,
it's amazing.
And I played professional volleyball, and I can't jump like that.
At any point, Karl, were you jealous?
No, I didn't. I wasn't going to ask to, no, not really. Not really. It was one of those experiences where, I replayed that in my mind of just the way it just came up. And I mean, like I said, it doesn't do you guys any good, but, it's recorded on my brain for sure,
Yeah, it's incredible.
But,
I liked how Rockland says it was a Class D sighting.
Oh, yeah.
Very witty, flat.
That is funny. Class D. Yep.
Very, very witty.
But
Jeff goes, it's a full frontal sighting.
That's pretty amazing. That you don't hear many of that.
We're not. It's just sorry. It's just like I turned 13.
Yeah.
But that's really an amazing sighting to see the face, to where you can see all of these details.
Oh yeah.
From the full frontal, and then you see it moving and leaving.
I don't know how long that was, but like the 3, maybe it was 3 seconds, but it just seemed like forever. Just because I didn't expect it, and here I am, we're staring at each other. I mean, it was wow, yeah. And so after I took all the measurements and I took pictures of where the digging was occurring.
Measurements of what?
Stop
Sorry.
it. Okay, no.
I'm on cold medicine.
Of the footprint. The footprint was around 16 inches long. From that where it landed. No. And so I it was interesting because nearby there was a deer. This is going to be might get a little woo here, but there was a deer skull nearby, and but there was no other body parts to the skull. So I reasoned at least that perhaps it had carried this skull, and it was touching the skull. So I didn't touch the skull. I actually got out of my day pack. I got a big bag out of it, and I bagged the skull, and I took it to a friend of mine who does psychometry, so touches objects and can read. And she had just the most amazing experience. She just couldn't figure out what she was seeing when she touched the skull, and it was just her vision seemed off. And I like I said, I can either claim or deny psychometry, but I know there's people that have talent in that, and and I certainly trust her in that aspect.
When you looked eye to eye, did it make any sound? Did it utter anything?
Total
Nothing.
silent. Just
silent.
It was just
yeah,
like that, and then boom, it took off.
That's amazing. That's an
Can
incredible.
can you read David Ellis's text up on the screen there? He wants to know whether you caught the way the thumb was oriented.
I did not. Although I think when he was digging like this, so I couldn't see where the thumbs were on that. But the handprints that were left on my vehicle were, definitely you could see the thumb on those.
Okay, so we'll back the truck up. By the way, this is just Karl swinging in to his research area. He's just swinging in there.
It was
just swings in there.
There was nobody more surprised than myself.
You're just swinging, and there you go.
Yep, I was only in there an hour.
So people are lucky. Okay, the fingerprints. How was it? That white crap, or was it in dust, or what?
Well, it was so that when that one left his hand on the side of my car, it actually, it must have left oils. So I think there's Jeff. I think there's a.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You got some.
So those pictures. So it left the handprint on the outside of the car, and then whatever oils were on it actually insulated, and that's on the hood of my friend's car. So this is an 11-inch print that was left at the same time that same evening on my friend's car. And if you can zoom in on along like the bottom right corner.
Can you? Will you send that photo to me, Karl?
Sure. I absolutely will. Anyway, in that lower right corner, it's hard to see, but there's actually you can see the wisps of hair off of the wrist.
Oh yeah, on the far right you can see that. Yeah,
right. And you can also see how just like your hand, right? Your hand has a cup in the center, right? So if you put your hand down on an object, right, you still have that cup in the center, and you can see right there how that.
All right. Can you interpret this a little better? Okay, good job. You got one with a ruler.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep. So it was 11 inches across from about the pinky down to the base of so from here.
Okay, now go back, Jeff.
11 inches.
Go back, Jeff, to that one. Okay, tell us what we're seeing exactly. What you think we're seeing.
This handprint's in dust on the hood of a Suburban, and that handprint, like I said, it was.
But the big middle area is the palm.
The palm, right? So where you see where the dust is undisturbed, right in the center, it's almost like that pinch right there.
And can you see if you can see right here?
Yeah, there's hairs there.
Oh, there we go. I can't.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you can see where the hair is. You see that? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a great print.
Yeah, it is.
Karl, you're just a wealth of good stuff.
You
really are.
It happens to me.
I do. Did you agree that you're probably a little luckier than most researchers?
Right. So this is the handprint that was on my car, and I was sleeping inside, so it got cold outside, and what you're seeing is the moisture condensed.
Oh, okay. Whoa. Let me see something. David's saying they can't see the pictures.
What?
Oh no. Oh my gosh!
I don't understand.
Geez, we're sorry. I'm going to go to it here. Something's going on.
I do not understand.
No, it's very strange. Just hang on a second. I'm going to.
Can you see it now?
This. Okay, I'm online and I'm seeing that image perfect.
Well, I just clicked something different. I put it on
full view.
So
what did you do, Jeff?
I clicked on. I made it a full screen picture.
No, I still see us. I don't know what's going on.
I don't understand.
Live on my phone.
I do not understand. Yeah, that makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I'm confused as heck.
Me too.
All right, go back to the other image now. People want to see it. That one.
Okay.
There we
Can you
go.
guys see that print?
Everybody can see that.
Yeah, this makes no sense because I don't understand.
Yeah, people are saying, yeah, we see it. Do that every time, Jeff. Do the full screen.
Sure.
Yes. So we'll figure this out. There could be a software change we're not familiar with, or I just think I'm hallucinating. This is just all a dream.
Yeah, I don't understand because I just don't understand.
I won't even be in the show.
I know everybody couldn't see it, but the print that was on the side of the car that was there must have been oils in the hand that actually insulated the glass and didn't allow insulated the condensation on the inside. It didn't condense where the handprint had been on the side of the car. Well, that the interesting thing is that I actually I measured it from the tip of the pinky down to the base of the thumb. It was 14 inches. It big hand, right? And everybody said, well, let me measure my hand or whatever, and and said, well, didn't you put your handprint on that handprint? And I said, no, I didn't do that. Right. Well, a year later, almost the same week, I can't remember, it was May or April. I'm up in that area and I'm camping and I'm sleeping inside the Yukon. And sure enough, even though the car had gone through multiple car washes during the year, I'm sleeping in there. I wake up and there's still a partial print left over from a year ago, that because the same conditions happened. It got cold outside. That hand, there was still some level of insulation from that hand that was on the car. So I actually took a picture with my hand just in the condensation on the inside, and I think I sent that. There it is. So you can see there was the tip of the pink. Hopefully you can see the picture. But the tip of my pinky is far short from where the tip of the pinky is, up in that upper right-hand corner. And then you see the base of the hand. So that's the size of it right there. Like I said, I'm not.
By the way, Carl.
Yeah.
Somebody had mentioned, that one that you think is the palm?
Yes.
Somebody had just mentioned maybe it's a breast imprint. Which isn't a wild.
Well, it could have. So my friend, he was sleeping in his Suburban, except he had blackout curtains on the inside. So right behind the front seats, he had a curtain that came around on the inside. So whereas mine, that's where I had I had a sighting that evening when that handprint was put on my car, because I woke up and my Fitbit, as I moved, the green glow from that, similar to your Untold green glow, actually illuminated the inside of the Yukon. And as it did that, there were, here's this face like this right in the window. And as the green glow kind of illuminated the face.
You got to back up, Carl.
Yeah.
And the answer, David, is yes, the salts in the sebum crystallize.
Yep. Yeah.
Say that again, Carl, because you were off mic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So it, here's this face looking right at me like this in the window. And as with the green glow from my Fitbit illuminating it, and then he just went and backed away. Right. And I looked out the window trying to see movement or whatever in the starlight, because it was about 3 a.m. Did not see any movement out there. And I looked for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then I went back to sleep. Well, and then at 5:15, I wake up and I see this print on the side of the car. So it is what it is.
Stone Picker say he thinks there's beef tallow on their hands. Could be deer tallow.
Could be.
It is open range in that area.
Your guess is as good as anybody's.
Yep. Yeah, and in that same area where I had the handprints that were left on my car and my friend's Suburban, there was another thing, and I think I sent an email with it. It's called Map Rock. I found this
Yep.
rock that was carved, and hopefully everybody can see this because it's weird. I'd love to get your take on it, but it certainly to me resembled a map of maybe creeks or I don't know, but I know where it is, and I want to go back there and do a little more research on this thing. But it's just weird because sandstone just typically doesn't fold like that. And, it's easily carvable, and I think there's another photo too of the
Say,
up
Karl.
close.
So I'm still back in 1969 here because of
Yeah.
my cold medicine. This is like, I swear to God, you guys are echoing. What in the world are these lines in this rock?
I don't know. That's why I said I
Oh, you don't know.
I don't know. I like I said, it almost looked like a map to me or a design.
So you
but it was
just found
definitely-
this in the middle of nowhere.
I just found, you're right, correct, in the middle of nowhere.
How big was
So,
the rock that had this?
It's probably 4 by about 4 by 4, maybe 4 by 5 foot.
Feet?
Yeah, it's big.
Whoa, dude.
It's not like I could pick it up and
I
stick
mean,
it
it
in my
doesn't
car.
look like water erosion. It looks like it
No.
was scraped in there.
Yep. And then
It does look like kind of a map, I guess.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's not some really important artifact.
It could be. It could be. I've got the GPS. I've got a pin of that location,
Cutting
so
board.
I can find it again.
Flat Rockland says,
Yeah.
whoa.
So there was another one. I think it was not. There was an email I sent you with that just said like smashed rock or
Scribbled rock.
scribbled rock. Thank you. So this was at a location along the Mogollon Rim as well, where I found a 16-inch footprint, and they had that rock thrown at me. I think I may have talked about that the last time. Yeah, so this rock was right in the area, and you could actually about 2 days earlier there was a really good storm up on the rim, and I know that anything would have washed away some of the fine grains from where this rock had been broken on it. And it was obvious somebody had broken a rock on this and then taken one of the smaller pieces and scribbled with it on the rock. So I know it's hard to see in here, but there's actually, there's a little bit of even color that came off of the of the red sandstone from that area. But it was interesting. Like I said, and it was not long after this, I found it probably within 40, 50 feet of this incident or this scene. That's where I found the 16-inch print with all toes visible. And as I'm taking pictures of it, and I'm all prepared. I've got a pack of Ultra Cal in my backpack, and I'm going to cast this thing because it was, typically in Arizona, the ground's too hard. You just get impressions and so forth, unless you're down in a creek bed, right? And so I was going to cast it, and I'm bent over taking photos, and that suddenly there was a huge thud, probably 20 feet from me, and big rock had come down, and the nearest area I could see clear around me for a good distance, and the nearest location was at least 100 feet away from me. So it chucked this big giant rock. Now, like I said, it could have totally beamed me. I was out there by myself. I just packed up my crap and I got out of there.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm leaving. Sorry. Always be polite, especially when you're in their living room.
What else? Anything else here? Do you want to bring? You want to pull up?
I'm trying to see. Let me look at all the sent ones that I sent you, and then I'll just kind of pick through there.
Jeff is making a T-shirt up for you too, Karl.
Oh yeah.
It says, "I am a Squatch magnet."
Awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible.
You're gonna be like that
Awesome.
guy in that movie, Vacation with Chevy Chase, or no, Dan Aykroyd, and you're gonna be like, how many Bigfoots have you seen? You'd be like 99,999,999.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You'll have this stripe in your hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So Jeff, there's an email that says desert research area. And that's just
where was
the
that
last one I think that
somebody had asked Karl whether he had any Grand Canyon stories.
I personally don't. One of the
have you heard of any? Because I mean, you would think that would be like a crazy good habitat.
Oh, absolutely. There was a friend of mine actually camped up on the North Rim. Now, if you're not familiar with the North Rim, it really probably should be part of Utah or Nevada. But probably not Nevada. Probably should be part of Utah. But it's very remote. Not a lot of people up there. I'm not going to get into any geopolitical discussions about some of the people up there. Anyway, I'll just Warren Jeffs. Anyway, how tall am I? 6'5". Yeah, he was camping up on the North Rim with and he had like one of the small trailers. Now there's bear up there, but he was middle of the night, 3 a.m. in the morning. He hears a howl nearby, and he knows there's one nearby, and some rocks start getting thrown at his trailer where he's sleeping in, and about 10 minutes later, something comes over to the trailer and just starts rocking it as he's in it. And he's just like, I'm not getting out of here, So, let's see, any stories from the Superstition Mountains? Yep. Well, that's kind of towards where my research area is. And if you pull up the desert pictures, you'll see some of that.
Yep.
But
which picture you want to show from that?
Let's see here. Let me pull that up. There's one that it kind of gives you at least a oh heck, I scrolled up. Yeah. Sorry.
Got one here that's kind of an overview. Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah. There's one with a mountain peak with the sun behind it, I think.
Beautiful.
Whoops.
Yep.
Let's see here.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. So this is. Yep. And this is interesting too. So when I got out to that location, there was actually a fish trap. Now the water level had been a little higher in the week prior, but and I didn't notice it at that point. But somebody had built a fish trap. Now it could have been a person, but there was a lot of material moved. And considering you can have a license and throw a line in, I thought that was an awful lot of work to go into to build a fish trap in the water. There you can see so gorgeous area. The area in that upper left corner where you see those rocks, there's actually a very large nest where a lot of bamboo from the river actually had been taken up there, probably about 15, 20 feet above the water. And this nest area is probably about 20 feet in diameter. Now, there's I think there's another email that I have. So this is where I had my 13th sighting. And I actually have a picture of it. Let me go back. Let's see. It's a further down. Let's see. Not general Arizona scenery. X structure. Heck. I thought I had put those in there. Anyway, so when I was out there with some researchers, And every one of us, every single person said, we're being watched. I can feel we're being watched. And so I took a bunch of photos, and this was maybe 4 weeks before the photo that you just pulled up. But when I took more photos when I went back a few weeks later, because that's actually what a good researcher does, right? You just don't take one photo, circle a fuzzy image, and then say that's a Sasquatch, right? You go back to the location, take photos, take measurements if you can. But sure enough, whoever was peeking out from behind the rock right there, you can just kind of see, I'm trying to get, there we go. It's just like this much of the face sticking out. And the eye is just very similar to the eye of, from my sixth sighting, where it was just, like you said, almost like goggles or, sunglasses, but definitely dark furred. But it's, that area actually has had so many reports where there was a guy that was fishing, and he went out to this point. He was fishing off the point at night, and something started throwing rocks into the river, and they were large enough rocks that it actually cavitated the water, so you could actually hear the rock hitting the river rock, at the bottom, right? And 2, 3, 4 rocks get thrown in there, almost in the area where he's fishing, and there was like four guys there, and he calls out and he says, I've got a gun. You better stop that. And it may pauses maybe for about a minute or two, and then another rock comes flying in there. Now, I don't endorse anybody shooting off your gun in the desert at night in total darkness, but he just started firing over to where he felt the rocks were coming from. Fired 6, 7 shots that direction, and all was quiet for about 10 minutes, and then the rocks started again. And they said, let's get the hell out of here. I don't know what that is. And it was that report that came into me that actually led me to that area. And on my first investigation out there, I find, and it's really weird, I find a bird, it wasn't a crow, but it was, I'm trying to think of, not a cowbird, like a grackle, that it was dead. It was laid out on the ground. Its guts were all taken out, and then there was 3 rock stacks near it. And I'll have to find the photo, but when we saw that, it was like, what the heck? But then when I later found the heard that chanting audio from the cell site, I was like, okay, this is, to me, that seemed more like a ritual, right? That was done. So, then about maybe 2 weeks later that, I said, it probably was a Bigfoot that you were pissing off. Well, the guy and his buddies go back out there to go fishing again, and sure enough, they start throwing rocks again. So they recognized him. Of course, I was out there, and I didn't get a rock thrown at me. So,
have you ever had anything follow you home? Any hitchhikers?
No, I haven't. Although I do remember one time I was
question. So,
go ahead.
Just passing it on to you.
Sure.
You ever had any?
That's what it was. Oh, anybody follow me home? No.
No, I don't mean any people. Any like weird activity you get home and something's out of place, or you're hearing stuff around the house. Or
the only weird activity was when I was in Long Island, and I was going out and gifting apples, pretty consistently. I was on site Monday through
Okay, you better back up and explain this Long Island thing, because I remember seeing some of your posts years ago, And I went and checked along because I'd never even thought about it. I checked Long Island, did the Google Maps thing. I was like, the north end of the island's got a lot of wilderness, and it's the water's shallow to the mainland, which is a lot of wilderness. State
It's
parks.
I can
I'm
look.
like, well,
you can look
maybe.
across from the North Shore over to Connecticut. It's not that far.
No, I mean it's corridor city.
It's swimmable.
Yeah, or wadeable or whatever.
Yeah. So.
You were doing research because you were there on business, as I remember.
On business, absolutely. Yep. So I
everywhere you go on business. So okay. I figured out Karl's secret. He does a lot of business travel. He gets paid to do this business travel, and everywhere he goes, he's like looking at Google Maps, going, "Where can I do research?
Where are they likely going to be using my
and that's
blueprint,
am I right?
my formula?" You were absolutely correct. That is exactly what I did.
That's what I'm just figuring out here. You're a business trip, but I mean, it's your time at night, your free time.
It is. Absolutely.
So you'd rather go out in the woods alone than sit in the hotel room.
Yep. Well, either that or sing karaoke. That's all right.
Either one, sing karaoke or swing into a Bigfoot research area.
That's right.
So, all right, Long Island. Have you?
Long Island. So here I am out
New
on
York.
Long Island, and I was in Manhattan for about 6 months, and there was interesting people, not necessarily the big folk that I wanted to find. So I absolutely from the Prescott area. I know quite a few, especially up near Crown King, Arizona. So anyway, here I am on Long Island. I finally get moved out to Long Island, and I'm going to be out there about 2 years for the project. So every week I'm flying out Sundays out of Phoenix. I'm landing at JFK. I'm driving out into the middle of Long Island, and I start, doing process of elimination, trying to use my formula, and as the hotel I'm staying at, I look in the thing. I go, you know what? This corporate center right across the street from the hotel borders up to a stretch of forest that connects to a 1,200 acre nature preserve and county park. And I'm like, this is ideal, right? Although at that time I hadn't figured out how they were getting across the Northern State Parkway there. But so I went from the hotel and I started doing research in the wooded area behind the corporate center. So it wasn't very far from the hotel at all. So it was close enough that I could actually take a few apples out, put them out in the morning, come back after work, see if they've been taken. First couple apples stayed there for quite a while. And then finally, and you would think that if it was a squirrel or something like that, they would chew on it, or you'd find pieces of the apple, or
you find little nibbles,
and there was nothing there. When the apples disappeared, it was just gone, right? So then the one day the apple's taken, and in its place is this little white polished rock that's sitting up in the nook of the tree that I'd put the apple up in. And I'm like,
well, that's interesting.
And I was like, wow. So I was so excited. I took the rock, and this was in the morning, right? So I put an apple out at night, and it restocked at night. And in the morning I checked, and it's gone, and this little rock's sitting there. So I'm so excited. I take it into the office, and I call all my researcher friends, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is the first gift that I've gotten. I'm super excited. And somebody said, oh, no, you should put it back where they left it. And I was like,
no, it's a gift.
I was like, it was a gift. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So at lunchtime, I drove back over there. I put the rock back up in the tree, and I start walking away. And then I thought to myself, no, you know what? and there was a tree stump that a tree had broken off maybe halfway up. So it was just this, it was almost, I don't want to say like a 5 foot level broken off. So little broken stump over there. So I took this. So I take the rock and I put it over on top of that tree trunk about 20 feet away, and then I go back to the office after lunch, right? And so after work, I get off work, I go back out into the woods again. I look at my. I go back out there to place another apple, and the stone has been moved from the stump back up into the nook where I left the apple the night before.
Wow.
Now, the only animal that would do that would be a raven or something like that.
I could see that.
That would
But
be it.
But the raven wouldn't take an apple. I mean, they'd sit there and peck at it, or they wouldn't have a way to carry it.
They couldn't take the apple.
Yeah, so I put another apple out there, and this went on for a while, and they were leaving gifts all the time. Well, it got down into winter time, so now it's mid-December. I think it was the one evening I got off work, and of course it was already dark, right? And I swung through there, and I had 2 apples. I was going to leave out because I thought, well, they probably need more food than just an apple. That'd probably be a weak gift. So I start, and it's pitch black back in those woods. So I start walking in on the path. I got 2 steps in on the path, and something not probably 20, 30 feet away from me breaks this branch that had to have been at least an inch, 2 inches diameter.
So that wasn't a crow.
No, and at night, yeah.
That's what I mean. That's
and I froze, and at first I thought, should I continue? Nope. That's a no. So I took 2 steps back right to the edge of the woods there, and I just held the 2 apples up, and I said, "These are for you," and I just rolled them into the woods, and then I went back. I got back in my rental car, drove back over to the hotel. I parked in the parking lot of the hotel, and went to bed. Well, there was a small strip of woods that actually went in between the two corporate centers parking lots, and that led directly up to the road, which led to a few more woods on the outskirts of the parking lot at the hotel. I get up in the morning. I'm going to give my coworkers we're carpooling into the office, and I come out to my rental car, and sitting on top of my rental car is a fossil right on the driver's side, right on the roof. I was stunned. And at that time, my coworkers didn't know anything. I was just like, okay, that was not there last night, So, yeah, it was. That one really surprised me. But what happened was I really started looking at historical things, because Long Island, there was really very few reports. There was a report in 1899 at Rockaway Beach, which is southwestern corner, right, of
so
Long
there was
Island.
a report.
There was a report in 1899 in the newspaper.
1899. Okay, I just want to bring people up to speed.
Yeah.
Karl was a traveling software developer, and when he would get stationed in like New York or wherever, or no matter Wisconsin, wherever he was, he would go out in the woods versus sitting in the hotel room at night.
Yep.
And he would do research because
that's what
his travel bill.
I do the research ahead of time so I could at least
but now
my odds of where they
he's
were
in
going
Long
to be.
Island, which the north corner, the northwest corner, I believe, is quite wildernessy, swampy, and all that brackish.
Northeast, north and northeast corner. Yeah, there's a lot of homes in there, but there's a lot of woods.
There's a lot of woods.
Yeah,
and so Karl was having luck. Did you ever find any blue objects or tree structures with anything blue?
I found, so it was interesting up there. They were there was a lot of vines that were growing up into trees and stuff, and I'd find them where the vine had been ripped down and then twisted at the base, and and I'd see these, but I wasn't thinking anything of it. Later on, as I was researching, I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a pointer. Like I'm over, like go this direction, right? It was very natural, but very squatchy, mentality. So I turned and I walked the direction of where that downed vine was twisted and pointing. And I get over there, and there is 3, 4, 5 structures all in this one area, and it was just, and I mean, I had to pretty much bushwhack into there, so I don't know exactly how they were getting in there more efficiently, but it was, I was totally shocked. And these trees that have been moved to make some of these structures were big. I'm talking like 3 foot, 4 foot diameter.
These are trees in Long Island.
Tree trunks, right? That had been fell, but then you could see where the tree had actually been, where it came out of the socket, was probably 40 feet away from where the tree had been brought over and laid in order to kind of build the structure around it. And you could see where there was additional branches and stuff had been put over the top of this thing. So I mean, that was interesting. But you mentioned blue. So the one thing I did find was I didn't find blue things, but I did find a lot of water bottles. And I never understood about the water bottles until
there's a blue label on them, isn't there?
No blue label. It was a lot of mishmash of stuff. And I think that what they were doing, because all the water bottles that I found in these trash piles were no food wrappers, just empty water bottles. And I think what they were doing, and then when summer came, I realized what they were doing. They were actually going up to the edge of that corporate center, and they had sprinklers for all the grass there, and they were filling up water in those, and then using that as transport. So
drinking out of the water bottles.
Yes. Yep. Using that as a transport, just like we would a canteen.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay.
But
and you would find these water bottles often in a structure.
Often, and there would be, a dozen, 2 dozen of them, and they'd be, like I said, no food wrappers, no, which you would think if it was, I don't know, a raccoon, right? Raccoons wouldn't collect water bottles. I mean, it's, it was like empty Gatorade bottles, empty, just you name it, right? But they seem to favor they were pulling it out of the dumpsters, out of the corporate center. So
it's crazy.
It's interesting. And I've written up this, my whole research that I did there. The reason how I actually even found this, like I said, because 1899 was the report. So I went out and I actually looked at it from a perspective of, paranormal, right? How, let's look for paranormal groups that investigate, a mother who lost a child and is crying in the woods, or et cetera, et cetera. And I found quite a few stories about that, especially they're like Lake Ronkonkoma, and the but then the one that caught my eye was this Mount Misery area, because all the way back into the 1600s, when cabbage farmers out on Long Island were bringing their food into their wares into New York City, the road went right past this Mount Misery area, and there was always report, the devil lived there, and there was always moaning and howls from the woods, and and that they would get pelted with rocks and stuff. And I was like, okay, so this is going all the way back to the 1600s. I was like, this is the area I got to hit, and bingo, I landed on that. So,
did you ever have rocks or anything thrown at you, or hear any growling?
I had rocks thrown at me when I almost saw one. I was so close behind it, and boy, did that one stink. Now, the ones that I've encountered in Arizona, except for one. There was just one that had a stink. But that one was just awful. Like I try to tell people, like, the smell was like summer porta potty plus week-old grass clippings laying in the sun, and dog feces. I mean, it was just this mixture of that, and it was just like, I mean, I literally almost puked while when I was trying to analyze what the smell was. But I was coming up the trail, and I heard it crashing through the brush, and it went, and the brush was still swinging down in this gully that I couldn't even, the brush was still swaying as I got to that location. So, I mean, I just missed seeing it. And then I could smell it, and I was like, oh, and I was trying to analyze what that smell was. And as I'm doing this, all of a sudden little rocks start flying up out of the gully towards me. Never hit me, but, and they were just bouncing on the ground. But it was one of those, moments where it was just like, I need to figure out, I need to figure out the smell. And then when I realized, okay, it's down in there, I couldn't see it. He could obviously see me. I was like, okay, bye. Sorry to disturb you. And I headed out of there. But, yeah.
Have you encountered a smell often, or is that pretty rare for you?
That was the first time I ever smelled anything. All the ones sightings I had in Arizona prior to that, no smell at all. And until and I wouldn't even call it a sighting, but there was one nearby, and my friend and I nicknamed probably him, Professor Poopy Pants, because oh my God, the smell. I mean, it must have definitely had dingleberry. You could smell them, and everywhere when we moved even, and a short while later he caught up with us, and it was just like, oh my God, he's back. I can't see him. I don't know where he is, but whew. And it was definitely smelled like human feces. So
wow.
So it didn't have that same musty that the one on Long Island had. So
yuck.
Yep.
Yuck.
Have you seen deer and any other wildlife?
Yes,
on
I
Long
have.
Island? Are there a lot of deer there?
There was a lot of deer there, and the deer. It was surprising. I didn't really expect to see as many deer as I did in that area, but certainly that makes sense. But I know that they were definitely doing a lot of dumpster diving. Excuse me.
Really?
Yeah, up in that area. So, and these are the same woods that like Walt Whitman would hang out in, and wrote many of his stories. But yeah, so it's interesting. I probably need to go back and look at some of the Walt Whitman and see if there's any Sasquatch references in there. But yeah, it said I've been hit by rocks before, not giant rocks, but small rocks, pebbles, and that was early on. But since 2013, nope, I haven't had a stick, rock, nothing thrown at me.
That seems pretty unusual. There's not a whole lot of stories of people actually being hit by stuff. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, the group that I was in at the time, they were. It was an interesting group of researchers because I wasn't, but I mean, I had a sidearm, but I wasn't certainly going to use it at all. But they were loaded for bear, or actually loaded for Sasquatch, and that was, they did not appreciate those researchers, and they pelted the hell out of our campsite. And it started with one that hit me in the back of the head, and it just it went from there. And then they knew we had a vehicle parked down the road, so they started pelting the car and then we went down there, and then they divided and conquered. They actually, they had stopped pelting at us. They started hitting the car down the road, and then when half of us went to go investigate the car, back at camp, they radio and they said, "Oh my God, we're getting sticks and rocks and everything thrown at us." So they split us. So if you don't think that they're smart and strategic in thinking intelligence, you're wrong. But
yeah, they're definitely smart.
Oh yeah.
Is there anything else before we wrap up? We're getting a little bit late here. Anything else? Anything else you want me to bring up that you sent me?
Well,
anything specific?
If you're in Arizona, I'll before I take anybody out into the woods, I certainly want to talk to them. I don't want to take anybody in my research areas without vetting them a little bit. But certainly, if you want to. You'd have a good chance of at least hearing them for sure. But yeah, you'll it's interesting. But they like to interact. So as long as I can tell that we're I want to say good in soul or good intentions, they seem to really want to interact. At least where
I hear that a lot. They can tell. I think they can really tell if you're good natured or not. They can sense that.
Like I said, I probably and I sent you a lot of emails and I apologize for that. But
no, it's great.
I probably have like 5 terabytes of photos and audio.
Great. That's what I was asking. Is there anything else specifically you want me to pull up quick, or we went over a lot of stuff?
Let me see here. Gosh, there's one called petroglyph. I think that was fascinating. That's that one was oops, get that. Yeah, that was so that's a petroglyph in Arizona. And like I said, unless somebody said that was an NBA player that they were this would have been left
look at the big feet.
Yeah. I know. The Mogollon tribe probably left that probably between 1200 and 1400 AD, and they all the rest of the petroglyphs all have stuff like elk and bighorn sheep and snakes and everything else on there, and they drew what they saw, and that's. I think I consider that historical record. So
absolutely, that's interesting.
You should really have Sibylla draw your sighting.
I did. In fact, she actually. So I talked with Sibylla, and she had a drawing she was working on, and when I kind of described it to her over the phone, she said, "Well, was it kind of like this?" And she showed me this picture, and I've got it somewhere in my files, but. And sure enough, I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what the face looked like. It wasn't, it was, it was pretty spot on. And I'll have to find that. I'll email that to you. But
you did. So she did finish a drawing.
Yeah. And well, she didn't, but it was a drawing she was doing for somebody else. And she showed, was it kind of like this based on my description? And I was like, that's it. So
that's awesome.
Yep. So,
yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, thank you everybody for blasting our chat wide open. I'm hallucinating practically.
For the life of me, can't.
I'm ODing on Tylenol, cold and flu. And thank you so much, Karl.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Jeff for putting up with me and all the crazy video and audio.
It's okay. It's an adventure.
And putting up with our crazy hacker. We had fun with the hacker. That was more fun for us.
No, it's all right. We'll figure it out. Thanks again, Karl. You're just a great guest. I love having you here. Thank you.
Yeah. I want that hacker back. He was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an adventure.
Yeah.
All good.
Get him
we
back.
got through it.
I like
everybody stuck with us. That's good.
I have nothing to do. I love people like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyhow, but thanks, Karl. We'll have to get you back for part 3 apparently, because we've only heard about like 3 of your sightings.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point. But no, I really get why you're very intense researcher. You don't mess around, man. I mean, anybody would just like, okay, I'm in New York. I'm going to Long Island in the woods. to do research is really dedicated. I mean, that shows your dedication.
Well,
and you've developed your. I'm sorry.
Yeah, my method. No, I was going to say, yeah, my method of finding them, and it didn't work. When I was in Chicago, I went to numerous places, and even though I found some structures in some of the forest preserves, it wasn't good enough. Wasn't enough evidence. And then I hit on my great research area that I found in a forest preserve in Chicago, and that's where I had 3 sightings as well. So
nice. What I was going to say is you're a disciplined observer.
Yes.
And I really hope that would inspire other people.
No, I totally get you, Karl. I mean, I love your dedication.
Absolutely. It's impressive. I hope you can inspire more people to do that, because you're doing a great job.
Oh,
yeah.
Like I said,
everybody
for
a
little scientific method. Yeah.
I'll leave everybody with this. Just everybody remember to dwell in the possibilities of all things. So with that, good night. We hope we see you all next week, and hopefully my damn cold is gone.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine. You and I will always know where we belong. This ain't no ordinary love we got going on. I pick you up in my 59 Ford. We head on down the road until we get bored. Just you and me and the sun and the wind. If the rain should stop falling, we'll head on home again. Everybody else can see where we belong. Oh, ain't no ordinary love we got going on. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never can pull us apart, and I'll wait for the time when we'll be together every day. But I know if ever we'll be led astray, that I'll find my way back home to you again. At the end of the world, together forever is one, and I'll wait. If ever you should be in doubt, and I pray they never